Chapter 2: A bathing video. Cherise was confused, thinking Damien couldn't see anything. "Can you bathe yourself if I leave?" Damien didn't answer, but the atmosphere grew colder. Realizing that Damien might be annoyed, Cherise timidly took the bath scrub and left. "Be careful, all right. Call me if you need anything." After leaving the bathroom, Cherise became restless and unconsciously glanced at the door. The floor is slippery. What if he accidentally falls? What if he falls and dies? I've just gotten married and don't want to be a widow so soon. Just as Cherise's mind was running wild, her phone rang. Lucy Staber, her best friend, sent her a video titled "Revision Materials." Revision materials. Why did she send me this when the final exams are still far off? Cherise wondered as she clicked into the video. To her shock, what came into sight was a woman pressing against a man. At once, Cherise blushed to the root of her hair. In a panic, she wanted to close the video, but her knockoff phone froze at that very moment, and she couldn't switch it off no matter how she tried. Suddenly, the bathroom door opened. When Damien heard the erotic sound, his face darkened. "What are you doing?" Cherise, who was already sweating nervously, almost dropped her phone on the floor, frightened by Damien's sudden appearance. Flustered, she shoved her phone under the blanket. The volume became smaller, but the woman in the video moaned more passionately. "You." Damien stared sternly at Cherise. I am watching a bathing video." Cherise pressed the blanket forcefully, hoping to cover the sound. A shadow fell across Damien's countenance. "A bathing video?" "Yeah." Cherise sat on the blanket, nervously wiping the sweat from her forehead. It was a man giving a woman a rub-down. The woman was so comfortable that she moaned. Damien was rendered speechless. Not only does she think I'm blind, but she probably also thinks I'm dumb. There was a pin-drop silence in the room beside the woman's muffled voice that emerged from under the blanket. Dressed in her sleepwear, Cherise pressed onto the blanket in an awkward position. The warm, yellow light shed on her fair skin, exuding an alluring aura. Damien's breath grew heavier, and his eyes darkened. Beads of perspiration covered Cherise's forehead. She never knew pressing on a soft blanket could get this tiring. Fortunately, the video ended after a while. Cherise wiped away her sweat, and took out the overheating phone from the blanket. Damien sat down at the edge of the bed and gazed at her with a half-smile. "Has the video ended?" Cherise wore an awkward smile. "Yeah. Indeed, it's not good to scrub too hard when bathing." Damien made no comments. Cherise immediately deleted the video and angrily messaged Lucy. "You almost got me into trouble." Lucy replied instantly. "Come on. I'm being helpful. Isn't your husband disabled? I especially found this video for you. Have you picked it up?" Cherise's face reddened. "Go to hell." Since Damien was blind, Cherise didn't excuse herself when texting Lucy. As a result, Damien could clearly read their conversation. "My phone froze just as I was about to close the video. And he heard it. He asked me what I was doing. I barely managed to lie my way out." Damien continued, remaining silent. "Haha. Cherry, I'm laughing so hard right now. You devil. The first night is precious. I shall not disturb you and your handsome blind husband any longer." Damien frowned. Handsome blind husband. What an unflattering address. Taking a deep breath, Cherise put down her phone and looked at Damien. "Let's begin." Damien stared at her but said nothing. Cherise clenched her fists. She had known this man for less than 24 hours and knew he didn't like her. But Sarah Miles, her aunt, had said it was a must during their first night. Otherwise, they wouldn't be happy for the rest of their marriage. She pounced onto Damien and encircled his neck with her arms, clumsily kissing his cold lips. Her tongue ventured into his mouth and awkwardly touched his like a kid sucking a jelly stick. Damien's expression grew somber. Cherise looked serious and focused as she was determined to complete the task. Damien placed his hands on her waist. "Will you regret it?" Blushing, Cherise shook her head. "I won't. You're my husband." A tinge of tenderness appeared in Damien's eyes as he gazed at the girl. "Are you afraid of pain?" he asked in a deep voice, restraining his emotions. "No." Cherise pursed her lips and wanted to press forward, but Damien grasped her wrist. "It's better for the men to take the lead." The next morning, the two servants who were in charge of preparing breakfast arrived at the Lenoir residence sleepily. The new Mrs. Lenoir looks ignorant, while Mr. Lenoir is blind and disabled. "I wonder if last night was smooth for them." "I guess so. The bodyguards on duty last night said they heard Mrs. Lenoir making some noises. At first, she was really loud. Later it seemed like she hid under the blanket, but the moaning was still passionate." "Really? She seemed quite innocent." "Who knows?" The servants gossiped as they walked toward the kitchen. "Good morning." The spectacled young lady, who wore a pink apron, cheerfully put 2 cups of chocolate drinks on the dining table. "You came so early." The atmosphere turned awkward as the two servants exchanged glances. After confirming Cherise didn't hear their conversation, they quickly walked over to help Cherise. "Good morning, Mrs. Lenoir. You're up so early." Grinning, Cherise glanced at the clock and said, "It's not that early. It's already past 6. In fact, she got up slightly later than usual because she hadn't slept well last night. The servants were flustered, thinking Cherise was complaining about them being late. They hurried to prepare breakfast but found out that a variety of food was already served. There were hard-boiled eggs, oatmeals, and a few golden pancakes. The servants were shocked. "Mrs. Lenoir, these. I made them. I'm not sure what Damien likes, so I just prepared something similar to what I usually prepare for my grandmother." Then, she pushed the pancakes to the servants. "I didn't know you guys would come so early, so I didn't prepare yours. You can have this first. I'll make more."